let's go out with fire. And I'm loving this.
All right, Mandy, you're what?
So I'm going to read it and then you can give me
Okay.
the fire. So I saw this reel this morning. So speaking of our last episode, and it said something I noticed about resilient people, they have fewer problems, they have faster reset times. Or they don't have fewer problems, they have faster reset times. Bad news hits at 9 a.m. and by 10 a.m. they're back to their priorities. They feel it, they process it, and move. The speed of the reset matters more than the size of the setback. And Mandy, you just were telling us how much you hate the word resilient, and I'm just here for it.
Yeah.
I guess maybe it's not so much that I hate the word resilient. I hate how how it gets thrown around, or how how it feels very weaponized in various structures and systems. It's very much weaponized because people conflate weaponize or they resilience with being strong, and like I don't get a fucking choice in whether I'm resilient or not. Like, I'm just trying to live and exist. So that bounce back, I wish I could think of a better term of what that bit you mentioned there, Cassie, was trying to capture, because then that essence, I think, is important. The ability to be like, oh, this thing like somebody cut me off in traffic, and now I'm late to work, and I'm pissed that I'm late to work because my boss yelled at me and blah, 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 but I let that go by 10 a.m. That is one thing, and that is something I can control. Like, I can let that go if I use my skills and I use my adult mature self. But the things that I cannot control are the systems that I have to live within. And the conversation that comes up a lot in my world, in my circles, is, I have a lot of really strong Black women in my life, and they get told, they're strong Black women, you're so resilient. And like, if you ask a Black woman ever, nobody gave them the chance to be anything but, because the systems that they were born into, the families, the societal norms, the historical context of all of the things, taking it back, being rooted in Black women during slavery, having to carry the burden, having to carry the weight of all it. Like, nobody asked Black women to be resilient. They just fucking had to be. And they don't, and there's very little grace with that when you're living life as a female, as a Black or brown person, as a disabled individual, as, any insert any demographic of individual that has less privilege. No, none of us fucking want to be resilient. None of us want to have to fucking be seen as resilient. I don't want to be resilient. I just want to fucking live my life. I don't
What
want
do
to
you
have to
think
be
would be a
strong.
better word that we could use instead?
Essence. I love the essence of what that bit you read is trying to capture, but I can't think of a word right now for that.
You don't have an intensity problem. Your nervous system just moves fast. Welcome back to season 2 of Go Be Too Much. This season, we're not shrinking, fixing, or filtering. We're expanding. Expanding your voice, your capacity, your nervous system, your ability to hold more without losing yourself in the process. If you ever felt like you were too much, this is where that becomes your power. And hey, this podcast is for you. So if there's something you wanted us to talk about, break it down, or go deeper on, fill out the listener form linked below. This is your space to be unapologetic, unfiltered, unfinished, and unmissable.
I don't think it's about the word. I got challenging thoughts going on in my head, actually. So I don't know that it's that we need a new word to define it. So with that, welcome to Go Be Too Much. I'm MJ. I'm your host. This is Mandy and Cassie. And the reason I say I don't know that this time it's about redefining the word, because what you mean and what you're saying, the essence of resiliency and it being strength, like, that is important. It is powerful. It is what it stands for, like, that you get through, that you find a way, things like that. Also validating that, yeah, I don't want to always be resilient. I want to always have to be strong. When will it ever be strong enough? Will it be enough? Like, all of those things, however you come into it. I wasn't given anything but having to be resilient. That's how you build resiliency, is by being given opportunity, lessons, situations that make you create that. So instead, a lot of what we talked about last time is rebuilding trust with ourselves, sitting with ourselves. And we're going to continue that today. And we're talking also about our identity. And so I wonder if it has more to do with, again, sitting with ourselves that has been resilient, has been strong, getting to the place that we're at in life where we start making significant healings, significant changes happening, that our new self, our new version, our new identity is able to sit with that past self and not resent them for being resilient, not resent ourselves for always having to be strong, and allowing ourselves to say, you know what, you got me here. I'm now like, it's okay. You can sit down. You can retire. I'm going to take it from here.
Well, and I think that's hard too, because like you were saying with the resiliency and what Mandy was talking about is you don't feel safe in whatever space you're currently in, and it's the only freaking thing you know how. And if you have never felt safety before, if you have never felt what that is, how
Hmm.
do you even know it exists? How do you know that it's out there? How do you know that there's a world out there where you don't have to be? You can, it's still part of who you are, but I think that's the thing too is a lot of people don't know that that world exists. And they're like, oh, it's so cool that we say these things, but it's not for me. And it's what opportunities can the universe bring to this human to allow them to experience it and then go, well, fuck, this exists? What do you mean? Like everything else is garbage now. But I think that's where when you say this stuff is they don't even know it exists out there. They don't know what they don't know. And I
Until they
think a
know.
lot yeah, well, and I think the other thing is speaking from me before the life I currently live now is I never felt deserving of it. And like I love that for all of you and my friends. I think that is so amazing, but not feeling deserving of it, I was like it's never going to happen to me cuz well, why would it? Like I've done XYZ in my life to be this person that I was. And so I think it's it's such a heavy it's turned heavy real quick, but like it's so hard because I just like think of the things that Mandy's talking about and I have not experienced any of those things. I've experienced my hard and my version of resilience, right? And so it's like sitting there thinking like to me it's we don't have the safety to allow said thing to happen. So we are resilient.
Well, and you sharing that, it made me think of a couple things. And I think I have a question for you, but first I want to acknowledge that it's giving ourselves the permission to. And this is something I just identified for myself. Somebody asked me what I was still running from. And I'm like, what the are you talking about? Like, I spiraled hard, real fast, and was like, okay, so I have to be perfect. I have to figure it all out. All the things of my old self came into play in that moment. Because I'm like, look at me. What do you mean I'm running? I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I'm showing up. I am fucking different. Like, what do you mean? Like, and in that moment, I cried about it. I spiraled about it. I took a bath. And then I reached out to somebody that I felt safe enough to, not looking for guidance or answers or feedback, but just to hold space with me. And they did. And thank you, Cassie. And then I was sitting on my closet room floor. I haven't done that in
Since
a while.
college.
Whew, like that is some old shadow coming in there. And I sat there and I literally had the thought, what if I just turn it off? What if I just numb it? And immediately I was like, bitch, what the fuck you doing? Like that is not happening here today. You're okay. Comfort myself, recognize, like, let's just take a beat. So I went to bed. I didn't stay up spiraling the rest of the night like I normally would have. I got up the next day, yes, fatigued and exhausted from all the emotions, but I went to work. And not because I pushed myself or any of those things, because there are times when I think that, yeah, you need to listen to yourself and give yourself the day off. But because in this moment, had I done that, I would have been shutting down. So instead, I went to work. And then throughout the day, when I had time to myself, I was actually able to process, to let myself now sit with myself of the shadow that came up and realize that what I'm running from is giving myself the permission to be experiencing, to be living, to be happy and sad, and realizing that here we are, all of us trying to achieve this internal peace, self love, self trust, all these things, and recognizing that once again, I was giving myself this narrative that peace meant nothing wrong, and it's no, there's peace and this is going on. There's peace and this going on. And so your resilient thing that you just read is like what I've said before, it's not that things get easier, we get better. And so my question that I had for you out of all of that was, what did you do to help yourself realize that you do deserve the life that you're living now?
I quit controlling everything. That's just shocking. Yeah, Rick and I talk about this a lot about how, like, I think about the life that I lived in Wyoming versus the life I live here in Utah. And I would have never imagined anything that I've done in the last 5 years since I've moved here, almost 5 years. And how, because I feel so safe with him, it has allowed a lot of my walls to come down. That's not to say that I still don't cry in the closet or have mental breakdowns. Thank God for his patience. Bless that man. But because I still do try to control things. And then I have to take a step back and go, okay, Cassie, like let's talk about this toxic behavior we got going on. And also like allowing him to uh, hold space for that and call me out when shit happens. Because if you know anything about me, you know I fucking hate that. And I know Mandy can feel that with her core. I'm just like, don't do that. Like, that's not okay. But I know that it needs to happen. I'm aware of that part, but it doesn't mean. And so, like, allowing that control to go. But I had mentioned this to you guys too. I'm going to two for this because we talked about how for some reason we always go intimate on things, and sometimes intimate means more than just your partner. And so like the control of my job, I also have learned to let go. Like I can't control what people do. If they want to use me, if they don't, if they ghost me, if we close a deal, and I'm still working through it, but by allowing myself this year to let things happen, my business has exponentially grown in that aspect of things. And so, to answer your question without explaining myself, because that's what we all do, it's letting go of control.
Sure. So you kind of did what we talked about in the last episode of certainty, letting that go and letting things unfold. Be curious about it. And I heard you say a lot of what I was saying, and sitting with your old self and challenging
Disgusting.
that, and where is that at, right? And so I and it's all like, to me, like that goes down to then grieving our own identity. And grief, we've talked about it now a lot in the last few episodes, and grief is so much more than just if a person dies. And I think when talking about letting go of your old self and going into a new self, because it's kind of a hot topic and people talk about that a lot, right? But we don't have to be so harsh and be like, "Oh, kill your old self off." Like they're dead. They're gone, right? Like, and that's when I came into this place of like, no, that part of me just gets to retire. And when she shows up because she thinks she has to be resilient, to be protective, to be these things, my best self in this moment, is it maybe my best self ever? Probably not. Probably got a lot more growth and expansion coming. But my best self right now in this moment can sit with that a lot faster without me even knowing that I was even doing it in the closet in that moment. Sitting with myself and saying, no, have a seat right here with me. I've got this. And what that means is I know what to do to turn inward, to give myself love, to show up for myself, to regulate myself, to then reach out if I need to somebody else, to also then take action differently. So it doesn't mean that I'm not still going to have to maybe be resilient or strong, but that I trust me to know what that means now, to do that, to take those actions, that I don't need that other version of me to do it. They can sit there, retire.
Yeah, no, I like that. And I try to explain this to people too. Like there's a lot of things that I did in my 20s that I am not particularly proud of, fond of. What the fuck was I thinking, basically? But because those things happened, I am who I am today, and I'm grateful for the idea of those experiences, maybe not the experiences themselves, but the lessons that I learned to become who I am today. Because I think that, you know, today, 2026 Cassie isn't doing too shabby in life. And I wouldn't have got here for if I hadn't have learned all those lessons. So now, am I proud of things in my past? Absolutely not. Do I like how I had to handle some things? Absolutely not. But I do like where I'm currently at, and we talked about this off air, through that text message. Like, it's growth. We're always growing. We're always trying to be better and to do more. But that does not mean that I still don't like to try to control some aspects of things. So, what do we always say? We're healed and healing,
Healed and healing.
working on it.
Right. Well, but I think, thank you for what you just said about like always wanting, like always growing and things like that. And that's where like I'm so intellectual in understanding and the layers and the tinker, of all humankind, including myself and all these things. And so to always be bettering myself and always be healing and always be like, sure, when it shows up. Otherwise, be present, be in the moment, be grateful, gratitude, right? And so I guess I had thought of that too, Mandy, when you were talking before, is life may not be perfect. It may not even be that great, but where can you have some gratitude? Where can you see positive versus just all of the all consuming negative, and having to be strong to allow yourself to find the enjoyment in where you're at. And if you can't find anything, like waking up for taking a breath, something simple.
Well, and I've also shared my thoughts on gratitude and gratitude, resilience, those things shockingly probably go hand in hand in my brain for similar reasons. But what I think I'm hearing, or what I'm kind of the essence of what I'm gathering out of listening to you and Cassie talk and processing, why I get so frustrated, like with being resilient as a form of flattery or like being a compliment, is trying to reframe the focus of like, okay, why is this person saying that? Or flat out asking, like, why, what makes you say that? Or like, I appreciate that you recognize my ability to whatever, endure this hardship or this struggle or this, whatever it is. I just wish that I didn't have to, and being able to build my ability to recognize that I am being resilient. But sometimes in that moment, I need to be more okay with just leaning into my emotions instead of like for the frustration of being called resilient. Like I don't want to be here. I don't want to be resilient. I don't want to have to be strong in this moment, because in that mindset is where I shut my emotions down. It's like, I have to be strong. I have to persist. I have to white knuckle life and make it through this, because that's what I'm supposed to do, because you're supposed to be resilient, because you're the firstborn daughter and you've got your shit together. You're supposed to be the responsible one. You're supposed to be the whatever. And so for me, like transitioning into a space where I allow myself to feel emotions and feel vulnerability in that moment of being resilient or being recognized as being resilient, and kind of turning that into a form of resistance, turning that into a form of like, okay, this is how I take back my power in that moment, is leaning into my anger or leaning into my frustration and sadness and disappointment in this moment. And like, how do I allow myself the space to feel those emotions, and how can I use my emotions that are coming up for me to to do something, to move forward, to recognize this is where we're at, this is where I want to go, or like this is what needs to change, whether it is like within me internally or externally, more of the societal factors and things. Because I think a lot of the knee-jerk responses that you will notice in an individual who is resilient is I'm not stopping to feel my emotions. I don't have the time for that because nobody has the time to be sad. I don't have the time to be sad or frustrated about this because I have fucking rent due today and I have to go to this job because I have to pay rent. I don't have time to be sad that this person has let me down again because I have 200 kids at school waiting on Miss Mandy to be there and be bright eyed and bushy tailed. I don't have time to be frustrated with whatever because I said I was going to do the thing and I have to go do the thing because that is what is expected. So pausing, like you've been mentioning, like allowing myself to slow down enough in the moment to like feel or acknowledge. We'll acknowledge because feeling is not my forte. And that was highlighted. That was highlighted recently for me in the simplest of, it's not simple. My brain could not compute it. What is simple for one is a fucking obstacle course for somebody else. And, whereas this individual is just like, Mandy, stop asking so many questions. Stop questioning and just allow your body to feel. And I was like, that's disgusting. I don't know how to do that. I need all of the information. I need you to tell me what this does. I need you to tell me why you did that. What is happening here at this time? What is in front of you? What is down here? Why are you doing that? Like all of the questions, right? And he's like, will you just feel? Will you just vibe? Will you just feel with the music? And I was like, that's
Don't
disgusting.
tell me what to do.
I was like, don't tell me what to do. And so this individual being very aware of who I am, picks a playlist that they know I can't turn down and like music that makes me feel like I believe I called this playlist in my mind like this is what feelings sound like because it's what my feelings sound like. And this motherfucker is going to use it against me. But I had to slow down. I had to pause. I had to like, okay, what am I feeling? I'm like, I'm embarrassed. Why am I embarrassed? Because this is a new skill. This is a new thing. And I don't like learning new things. And I have said this on here before. My kids call me out on it. Like, Miss, if you don't try anything new, how do you learn new things? And I'm like, that's very true. It's like, I don't want to learn in front of you. I don't want to be vulnerable. I don't want to do the things in front of you. I don't want to feel the things in front of you. That's for damn sure. It was enough of a pause where I had to be present in the moment. I had to pause. I had to think about feeling. Again, I keep saying think about feelings instead of feel about my feelings because that's
Can I say
disgusting.
something?
Always.
You're like, oh God, Cassie. So we're talking about, or we have talked about the sense of safety, and I know that I brought it up. But what I'm hearing and what I know about you is that in that moment, you felt safe enough to be vulnerable to learn a new skill. When
Mhm.
you started listening to K-pop, you had never been to a fucking concert before. You were like, I am a middle-aged woman at this concert. Like, what? But you unbeknownst to you at that moment last year, felt safe in that environment enough to express it. You have gone within this new realm of things. Every time you go to those places, you feel safe enough to just be the giddiest I've ever freaking seen you. You get excited about fucking stickers. You know what I mean? And because of that, then you also have learned to make trinkets. And so you've acquired a new hobby that you thoroughly enjoy. And I think that maybe you haven't noticed this and I'm pointing it out, or you have, and now I'm just acknowledging it, that when you do feel safe in those moments, you do allow yourself to be vulnerable to do those things. And it's just beautiful. That's my 2 cents.
Well, and gave
Thank
you
you.
capacity in that moment, right? That maybe you
Mhm.
weren't giving yourself. And, being able to, yeah, sure, really be vulnerable with others. But I think it's also just being vulnerable with ourselves and those feelings, like you said, coming up. And I think that there was something that you had said, and I had this thought now I'm gonna space it.
If we don't write it down, it's gone.
I
The ship
know.
has sailed.
I know.
Well, and Cassie, I think I don't know if I put it on the internet or if it was a conversation that I had with any one individual, but like K-pop has 100% given me creativity that I absolutely have never allowed myself to have. Again, it goes back to like, I have to be perfect, that perfectionism piece. Like, I'm not going to do something. Go for it, Mary.
I'm so
Before you lose
sorry.
it, go for it before you lose it.
Perfectionism. That was exactly because you were talking about like, so I can't be in this field. I can't do this because I have to show up this way with these people. I can't be in this because I need to show up this way. And all of that coming back to you, rejecting yourself, not accepting yourself, not being vulnerable with yourself. And and when you said that, like, God, it resonated so much with me because I had a conversation with somebody and I'm just like, I'm not perfect. And I'm sorry if I keep giving that and giving that essence because I'm so knowledgeable, because I have grown so much, because I talk about it a lot. But like, I'm not perfect. I still make mistakes. I'm still learning things now. I'm after the moment and reflection, when I really get time with it, I'll get to see like, I thought you were pulling away or doing X, Y, and Z when really I was doing X, Y, and Z. Not excusing other people's things and their capacities and stuff like that, but just recognizing my own. And so all of our whole thing about go be too much and being yourself and being all of it in every version, in every aspect. And yes, does that mean that you might have to shift a tiny bit in some ways? For example, at work, you might not be able to cuss as much or things like that, right? Like, okay, yes, but for the majority of it is still being truly just authentic to you. And if you're having a hard fucking day, those kids might need to see that. And I know we've talked about that before. We've talked about like, I need a moment. I have to, I've I've gotten onto a session with somebody and been like, "Hey, I just received a really difficult phone call. I'm emotional. I need a moment." And they appreciate that. They see that. And it's like, so as much as we're still trying and and we think we're showing up authentically, like, again, sitting with what ways are we not? And are we not because we don't feel safe to? Are And if we're not safe to, is it because we're not safe within ourselves or safe within that other person? Sorry. I was just like, boom. Oh, when it hits, the fucking hits.
Well, we've all talked about perfectionism on here because I think that's something that unites us. Unfortunately, is we all at one point or another, maybe it pops up still more for me at least, is this need to be perfect, to be worthy of love or of acceptance, to
You don't want
be enough.
imposter syndrome.
Correct. And I just would like to remind everyone of this current administration. And if a man can do it, so can you. If these dumbass men can do it, we are more than capable. That's like, at the end of the day, we're all just cosplaying as adults. There are some of us that have way more knowledge and skills than any of the frickin' people leading things that probably shouldn't be leading things. But because we've told ourselves that anything less than perfect is not worthy of showing it to the world, it's not worthy of doing it just for the sake of doing it and having fun, or just to let yourself have a moment, just to let yourself like learn a new skill. Again, I've been saying like eating with chopsticks. Okay. Eating with chopsticks has been, as everyone's like, oh, you just do it. I say this because I was in Chinatown and I have to be the Caucasian that asks for a fucking fork because I can't get my brain around the concept of using chopsticks, because everyone that walks me through it ever is always like, oh, you just hold it like you hold a pencil. And I had this conversation yesterday. I was like, guys, I don't think I hold a pencil right, because every single one of you that shows me how you hold a pencil or write or hold chopsticks, I'm like, that is not what I'm doing. So I'm like, I have adapted. I have made shit work for my life for so long. I didn't even know that like it's not how everyone else is doing it, but it works for me. It has
I'm
worked
here to
for
tell
me.
you, I do not hold. I'm a pro with chopsticks, and I promise you, I don't hold a pencil the same fucking way I hold chopsticks. So,
Listen, I can't figure it out and I won't do it. Like, I won't do it in public. I was like,
hey,
no, I
I
have to
taught Davina. I can teach you.
listen.
You are good.
It's one of those things I'm like, I can't learn it out in public on the spot because it makes me so uncomfortable. And
You and I will
I'm
just
sitting,
Zoom meet. I got chopsticks at home.
I have them. I
Davina
bought chopsticks.
has magical wand chopsticks. Even we could put a spell
Beautiful,
on you.
beautiful. But like something as simple as that, where everyone else is like, oh, it's just, you're just holding a pencil. I'm like, well, you're not considering the fact that I don't fucking hold a pencil like that. And so everyone's just so matter of factly. And I am over here like shaming myself internally, just spiraling. Like, what kind of human are you? You're not even like taking the time to learn somebody else's like cultural importance. You're not like respecting the process of this. And I'm just like, Amanda, fed babies are happy babies. Eat the damn food, do what you have to do, and like give yourself some time to learn the skill. But, like in those moments, like I don't feel. I mean, I was gonna say I don't want to. That's not it. I want to. I don't feel comfortable. I don't want to sit with the discomfort of sighing. And everything that you learn, you have, unless you're like a fucking baby genius, you kind of have to suck at everything until you don't. Like that's quite literally how any skill ever works, right? I think about when we were told how to tie our shoes. I think about, like going to the bathroom. At one point or another, we're all just tiny little baby humans who shit on ourselves all day, every day until we get sick of that. And we're like, okay, I think I should learn this skill that my adult human is trying to teach me. And we're like, okay, we learned somewhere along the way, like that this is the desirable behavior. This is how I need to, and like you do it until you learn. Riding a bicycle, writing your name, tying your shoes, all of those like little mini things. Like as kids, we're curious. We're learning all of the shit. We are absorbing all of the things because we don't know any better. It's like, oh, it's fuck. I'm just supposed to learn this thing. I'm supposed to know okay, this is what we're learning today. And then at some point, whether it's our own voice, whether it's adults in our life or other shithead kids, they're like, that's really stupid. You're really stupid. Or you shouldn't do that. Or why do you do that? Why do you hold your pencil like that? Why do you do that? It's just like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do those things. And then you just like get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller until you don't do the new things. You just get into that routine. We do what's normal. That's where our routine can be playing against us. Like a routine is great. I need structure or I'll be out here on fucking Pluto just doing all the things. But at a certain point, like our routine, our predictability, that structure of our life really kind of takes away from that curiosity of exploring and trying to learn new things. It's just a big mind fuck. It's a big mind
I was
fuck.
Well,
just thinking how perfectionism is toxic. And that's why I was telling you, like, in our last episode, I was like, done is better than perfect. Because if
Mhm.
I keep trying to perfect it, I'm never going to launch this program that I have built, right? And it took me 6 months. And I will say it took 6 months because it took that long to brain dump. But also I was like, how can I make it better? How can I make it better? And finally I was like, I have these students that need this resource, Cassie, for the love of all things holy, and you're just withholding it from them. And so I was like, done is better than perfect. And you know what? I'm going to make so many revisions. I already have thoughts and revisions, and I've gotten feedback. And I feel like sometimes in life, we just want everything to be perfect, but sometimes you just got to throw shit at the wall and see if it sticks. And then if it doesn't, obviously let's try slime. Slime's a little bit stickier. It might, you know what I mean? Like you just have to do the damn thing. And I think that perfectionism is the quote unquote toxic trait we learned as children to mask everything so that way people would accept us. And that is so fucking hard to unlearn the older you get.
well,
Mhm.
I mean, perfectionism is the killer of being in the present moment. It's the killer of gratitude. It's the killer of celebrating small accomplishments that lead to bigger accomplishments. Perfectionism is thinking that you have certainty. And we talked about that curiosity is the opposite of that. And Mandy, I love that you went all the way back to like childhood and things because we talk about that and that what we learn over time. And how did we learn to, stop going in a diaper because somebody taught us, right? What we're being taught by whether directly or indirectly and our own experience of those things. So whether somebody meant for it to have that impression on them, on you, your experience is what then starts to create these things. And so it's throughout life that these experiences and learnings and all those things, it creates all of that in us. And it's like nobody goes unscathed. And at what point are you going to stop and you're going to look at if you're really dissatisfied or you're living in a place of lack or whatever's going on, like, when are you going to stop? And if you haven't looked at the things in the past, because you have to look at the external and acknowledge the actual traumas and the things that happen and how that impact you, but then you hit the pivotal point that now you got to turn it inward. So now we got to go back and look at all those things, but look at it from an internal perspective.
Mhm.
And what you said about experience, and it's so true, the way we experience things, it's just always different. And so you gave us a quote unquote simple example, but that's how complex all of this really is, and why it's so goddamn hard and people don't do it. And it's understandable. And that people want to throw in the towel and give up or whatever, right? Because it is hard to do. But your experience with chopsticks, like, how you write is different, and that's your experience than how their experience is. And we just don't communicate well enough when when uncomfortability starts to happen. We don't sit first in what is it that we're experiencing, but then also to have then the conversation of, well, how are you experiencing this? How are you experiencing me?
Yeah.
Where, again, do we need to, work together on this
Well,
stuff? You have to use a chopstick.
well, and I think it comes with when we're talking about like perfectionism and we feel stupid asking questions, is explaining to people where we're at and the other person meeting that person where they're at, right? Because all three of us have different life experiences. I mean, I'll go back to the chopstick thing, right? Like when a sushi place came to in Wyoming, the town that we're from, I went there all the fucking time and it was and I was like, I'm just going to learn to use chopsticks. So to me, naturally, it's easy. And so, like, teaching Davina about chopsticks, we just went there the other day and she's like, the lady instantly gave her the little helpers on the chopstick.
Could
And
use those.
like instantly, and Davina, bless her heart, she like looked at it and she like took them off and she put them on the table. She's like, I'm not using these today. And I was like, whoa, buddy, okay, whatever. And she's like, she was struggling. And so like I finally figured out like how she was holding it. And I was like, you see this little digit right here? I was like, it needs to sit on that one, because she was like putting it like way up here. So then it was the most awkward thing. And like when I was looking at how she was doing it, she's like, oh, that makes way more sense. But like, it was just funny because she's like, I'm sick of not being able to use chopsticks. And she like threw the helpers down. And I was like, even the server lady was like, okay. And just like meeting Davina where she's at, she's just like, this is how I hold it. And I was like, I just made like one little adjustment. And now she's like, you need to video me so I can send it to dad so I can show him how proud I am of being able to do it. And I think that in the grand scheme of things, it's, asking for help and meeting that person wherever they're at, because there's lots of things that I don't know how to do. And I look at people, I'm like, can you give me the for dummies version? Because I don't know what that means at all in the slightest. And we're all very intelligent women. Like, we know things, but sometimes we don't know things in certain areas. And I'm like, can I get the for dummies version? Because you're literally speaking to me and none of it stuck. None of it stuck. And so just meeting people where they're at.
Meeting people where they're at is such a skill. It's such a skill of like reading the room, like being able to read the room, read a situation. Like, I learned a new word, a new Korean word, nunchi. Like, the nunchi of a situation is just situational awareness. I think Mary and I do that a lot in our field. You read what the body language is telling you. You read what their mouth is not telling you. The factors of maybe that got them into our chair in the first place. And Cassie, I imagine you do a lot of that when trying to sell somebody a house, of like reading their situation. Like, what are they not telling you, or what, like, what do you need to tell them, or how do you need to have that conversation with them, and being able to, like, that's how we communicate. Like, meeting someone where they're at means you have to have some situational awareness. You have to like understand what is going into that, and maybe have a little understanding of this individual, which obviously, with a stranger, that's going to look different. I don't know what this person came to me with, but like, communication, that's how we fucking learn. Like, asking questions, engaging in conversation, listening. Like communication is not just talking at someone, it is listening to someone. And sometimes that someone is your fucking self. Like, what is your internal dialogue fucking saying? Right? Like, what is your body communicating? What is your brain saying? Are they on the same wavelength here? Or is one like are we or is one of us very logically freaking the fuck out and maybe we should be scared of this? Or is the other one like, no, we got this, it's good. And we need to listen to that one. Like situational awareness, outside, inside, goes a long way. It goes a long way.
I I just thought of when you were talking about self-awareness. I need to be better about this because just like you, I forget to eat, but there'll be times where I like stand up and I get a little dizzy and I'm like, Cassie, when's the last time you actually ate something? And I go,
Mhm.
that's my body telling me I need to go put something
Literally,
in my suck hole real quick because
that's
if
your
I don't,
that's
I'm
your
going
check
to
engine
just
light.
crash.
Mhm.
So you said that, and I'm like, I was like, I do decent at recognizing people, like you were saying for like my clients. I really do try to listen to what they say, and I always ask, depending on like what they say, that brings up the next questions of things. And I like circle back to, okay, so this is what I'm hearing. And what they thought they actually wanted has nothing to do with what they said, like not a damn thing. And so like that's one thing that I love about helping people find homes is because like one client, I'm not kidding, I'm sure I've mentioned this before, but like he could hear a bug fart and it would disturb him. And so like I told him this. I was like, I need you to go at 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. and sit outside of these three houses. And do you hear kids play, dogs bark, cars on a highway? Like I'm not kidding. He wanted seclusion in a city. Yeah. And he went and sat outside these three houses and they ended up buying one of those houses. And I just talked to them a couple weeks ago because it's been over a year now. And they still absolutely love that house and are so grateful that the common denominator that I noticed was you guys keep complaining about these weird noises and like these. And so I had brought that to their attention and they're like, we didn't even know that was a thing. We had no idea that having a dog bark next to us, or I'm sorry, parents, having kids right next door was going to annoy the shit out of them. They had no idea, right? But I noticed it and I brought it to their attention. And even a year later, they're still happy. And so, like, I really do decent, not great, but decent at everybody else. But man, my check engine light, it probably is real pissed off at me most of the time.
Like our bodies are designed to give us those indicators, but our brains were like, nope, that's not important information. I don't have time for that right now. Doesn't
Which
matter that
goes
I
back to I'm not as important as the other people, right? And I know Mary's just like, this is what I was talking about.
Well, again, it's like you grow up being told, like, listen to your gut, right? But yet, literally everything, including the people probably telling you that, are teaching you externally somehow. And your experience of it is don't listen to your gut. You better think about it and don't be feeling it and don't be. And it's like, so then, yeah, like what now we're here and we're relearning how to recognize it. Where do I feel it at in my body? Like at the school, at work, like, do I feel calm here? Do I feel safe here? I'm with other people. Oh, certain people, I feel a bit nervousness, uneasy. Other people, I feel comfort. But listening to that in our body and not in our head. And it's so funny because it also plays into the whole follow your heart and listen to your heart. Well, is your heart actually are you actually listening to your heart or are you listening to your head? The
do you
thinking
want to
about
know?
it, right?
You know what
And
I
it's so
always
hard, especially for us ADHD people, because we aren't we have to decipher if it's overthinking or if it's just our brains and how fast we go, right? And it's not always overthinking, it's because our brains process beep, 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 and do and break down and all the things, right? Which is a beautiful thing. But sometimes we needed to slow the fuck down and not do that, right? And you mentioned about like meeting people where they're at, and like that's so true. And then all I could hear in my head is like meeting people where they're at though doesn't mean that you need to shift where you are, who you are, how you are to meet them. You have to be able to meet people kind of where they're at while maintaining that authenticity to you and where you're at and where you resonate. And when you do that, it's to be curious then of, okay, so if this person and I'm meeting them where they're at, holding my space for me, is our experiences just different? Is there just communication that needs to happen? Is there just compromising that needs to happen? Or is it that we're just not, I can come here and wait and like, can you rise? Can you rise with me to me? Like, and if not, then we walk away from those situations, those environments, those places, those people. Like, and that's okay. And it's not to say that that person isn't good enough or whatever, or that environment is, even in an environment, it's not to say that it's bad. It's they
It's
haven't
just not for
learned
you.
in the environment what they need to do for it to be better. They don't
Well,
know what they don't know yet.
and you
Like,
brought earlier, I think it was the last episode, you talked about like opening a door and you can leave it open if they choose to come through it, then great. And sometimes we got to close the damn door.
right. Yeah.
But yeah, holding your space where you were. But I want to cycle back. Mandy, what did you say it made you think of? Do you remember?
Well, there's many things that I'm thinking of, but I remember a very distinct period in my life where I said, why would anyone tell me to think with my heart? What does your heart want? I was like, my heart doesn't have a brain. I remember being like, why would I do that? That's not logical at all. Why would I let my heart make any fucking decisions? Because my heart's not, it doesn't have a brain. That's stupid. You just want me to feel things. I have had that conversation so many times in my lifetime. And I'm like, very
You
funny.
know.
Hmm. Well, in marriage, watching you just talk about that last bit, and again, sorry guys, but the first day of school is tomorrow, and I've lived through hell of a week of in-service training, and so it's all of the graphics, all of the concepts, everything at once, and it makes me think of, when in education we talk about equity, inclusion, and equality, like the difference between what it means to be equal, inclusive, or having equality for all individuals, and it doesn't mean we can everything is equal. So they use the wall example. So there's a event happening over here. We're all behind the wall. So I am taller than both of you and I can see over the wall. So I don't need anything. Mary kind of petite. So we're gonna give Mary it needs we all get ladders. So we all get ladders. So now you guys can all see over the wall as well. But now I'm seeing more. Now I am taller than everyone. I can see over everything. Now I'm probably blocking more people behind me. So it's equal, but is that fair? Or excuse me, it's equitable. So we all got the ladder. Giving everybody what they need. Giving everyone what Mary needs a ladder that is 2 feet tall. Cassie needs a 1 foot ladder. I didn't need a ladder, so I'm not getting a ladder. Everybody's got what they need, but is that fair? Is everyone getting what they is that fair? Where inclusion, or we start to look at inclusion, we start to look at that as removing the fucking barrier that exists in the first place. Why the fuck is the wall here in the first place? Just get rid of the wall so everybody has access to the things. And meeting people where they're at, meeting ourselves where we're at, getting rid of the fucking systems in place that are keeping us from allowing ourselves to feel our emotions. So we have that self-awareness, allowing, societal pressures or the outside voices that we hear that, we make that knee-jerk response of why we judge someone or why we don't meet someone where they're at or why we don't meet ourselves where we're at. Just like challenging these systems internally, externally, challenging the belief patterns that we have, challenging, well, this is how I've always lived life. This is what I've always done. And instead of just like finding, yes, everything has its place. We need a resource in the moment. We need to phone a friend. We need whatever. Like, instead of just like white knuckling it and doing it because I know I can do it. I know I can get through this. But instead, pausing long enough to be like, okay, what do I need? What am I avoiding? Like, what are my resources? And building community, building a sense of self in that vulnerable space and like being okay with, like you said, the black and the white of like, okay, I'm pissed off about this, but I'm also, I'm curious to see where this is going to go. Or like, I'm really fucking scared. I am really fucking nervous about quitting my job, starting a new job, or going on a first date, or starting a business, or whatever it is. But like, I just want to see this happen anyways. And it's just like all things can be true at once. And I think that's what's infuriating For me, I won't
Damn
speak for everyone.
duality.
Damn
Yeah,
duality, right?
damned duality.
Well,
Yes,
but
because it is
and
all
being
true.
curious. Again, there we are, like being curious to the unfolding and that if you've been doing work and healing yourself to where you're repairing that trust, resetting within yourself, like then you can know that you can be where somebody is, you where the environment is, you can be curious and you can allow the unfolding, knowing that as new information comes in, you'll make the steps and things that you need to do differently, right? But you have to be willing to be curious. And curiosity, I think, has a vulnerability to it. And you talked about when you're little and you're curious about everything. And it's like, my God, that's what gets shoved out of all of us is being curious, right?
So,
And it's like,
Mary, what would be a reflection that you'd ask our audience to have on all that, on everything we've talked about today?
I know. So I would say, I would encourage you to start with writing down what are the old things, maybe like a pro con, but it's like the old and new, right? What is the old things about you and what are the new things that you already recognize within you? And then asking yourself, what of those old things are you still working on, needing to improve on, maybe haven't even addressed yet in building that new identity, that new trust within yourself,
I like that.
Mandy.
Kobe Dog does too.
I think that was
I think
Or
that
was
was
that
a
Shiloh? Okay.
Shiloh. I was like,
Somebody
mine's
I was like,
snoring.
somebody's dog co-signed that. No, my brain was like, that was so many words, and my brain was just trying to get it down to an ADHD friendly. Give it like Cassie said, give me the dummy manual or whatever, the how-to manual. Because yes, that is
I need
eloquently
the for
put.
dummies version, please.
For dummies. Thank you. I was like, my brain was just trying to get it
Well,
down.
and I probably, in this moment, that's the one method I can give you. A pro con list, but it's of the old and the new. Recognizing, acknowledging the new. Where is that old? Where can we add even more new? Balancing it, looking at those things. But with that also being said, to come will be a workbook around this as well. Because I really have shifted in knowing that as I get my ideas and things and the unfolding of this business and not being certain or perfection with it, that some of what I'm recognizing that the best way I'm going to help people is going to be through workbooks. And so I have one that is almost done. That's my goal for August, is to finish that one, not perfectly, but finish it,
Done is better than perfect.
to put it on so people can start purchasing it. And then I will begin towards these other workbooks. And that's not to say I'm not open and available to work with people one-on-one, but I know that the capacity I have and the ability to help even more, workbooks is going to be a good way for that. So, all right. With that said, go be curious.
Go be curious.
Go be all that you are.
Go be all that you are. Love you. Bye.
Bye.